Hi, I'm Cindy Winget, the author of some Gothic horror mashups, and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be doing my TBR video for June. So if you aren't aware, what I do is I roll a die and then the number that's chosen correlates to one of my bookshelves. And so then I go through each bookshelf and choose one book from that bookshelf to read for the month of June, because I have about 6 shelves on each bookshelf, and that's about how many books I'm able to read in a month, is about 6. So let's go ahead and roll that die and see what we get. 6. Okay, so that's going to be my hardback thriller books. Okay, so we're down here at my bookshelf, so let's look at the top half. I don't really want to read anything in a series, so I'm going to skip those ones. You know what? I think I'm going to do Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead, because I think it's been almost 2 years since I've read the first one. So despite what I said about not reading series, I think I'm going to choose that one because I don't want to wait too long to read the second one and forget everything that happened in the first one. So I'm really short. Reach. Oh, whoops. Wrong one. Oh gosh, this is so hard. I need to grow a few inches. Okay, so we're gonna go with this one. Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. Okay, now looking at the second row. Oh gosh, there's so many I want to read. I don't know, I really loved Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubica. This one doesn't sound quite as compelling, but just because I love the writing on this one, I kind of am interested in this one. And The Trap, I absolutely loved The Trap, so I'd love to read something else by Catherine Howard. I hear really good things about The Nothing Man. I just got this one, Close Your Eyes and Count to 10, and that one sounds very summery. I really want to read Game of Lies, but I want to read the first one first in case you're supposed to read them in order. I've heard mixed things about The Paris Apartment. It sounds right up my alley, but not a lot of people liked it. But I still want to read it. Oh, I'd like to do this one too. The newest Alice Feeney. It's so hard. Okay. Well, to be honest, because it's officially summer now and it's June, I think I want a summery book. So I think we're going to go with Close Your Eyes and Count to 10. So I'm going to go ahead and push those back in. So yeah, I think we're going to go with that one. Okay, come down to the next one. Okay, so there's a lot on this one I want to read too. This one's also very summery. The One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. Cross Your Heart seems like a really good fun one. The Guest, this one really piques my interest. I just recently read The Kind Worth Killing and really enjoyed it, so The Kind Worth Saving might be fun. I might go for another summer one and go with One Perfect Couple. Although, you know what? I think I'm going to go with The Drowning Woman, because I was supposed to read this last month, but I didn't get to it. And because I got that new bookshelf that I showed you guys and things got shifted around, and I made that like officially just horror, and so all my thrillers got moved down here. So now that this one's down on a different shelf, you know, I figured it's okay to choose it again, right? Because it's officially on the shelf. But yeah, I really wanted to read this one, and I didn't get to it because I just didn't have time. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. And just try and read The Drowning Woman again. Okay, so back down here. So let's see. So all of these ones I've read except for the top 3, but that's a Christmas one, so I want to read that in December. And then the top 2, sorry, it keeps trying to focus on my hand. The top 2 are wintry, so I'd rather read that in the winter, not when it's summertime. So I'm just going to be looking at these ones. I hear this one is pretty good, the new Megan Miranda. And then I hear really good things about The Long Weekend. But I actually think I want another summer one. And this one just seems like a lot of fun. So I think I'm going to choose this one. Every time I go on vacation, someone dies. Okay, so come down here. Well, this one's one I just picked up, Quorum House. And then I've been wanting to get to this one for years, Games for Dead Girls. The new Jason Rekulak, I loved Hidden Pictures so much, and so I want to read something else by Jason Rekulak, but the premise just seems kind of okay. So I kind of want to read that one, and I kind of don't. Oh, you know what? Nope. I know which one I'm going to read. It's going to be this one. Julie Chan is Dead. So this is also a new release that I just barely picked up from Aardvark. And I hear nothing but good things about it, and I'm super excited to read that one. So I'm definitely going to choose that one. Okay, now down to our last shelf. I don't know. Actually, you know what? I just barely got this one from Book of the Month. The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with that one. Okay, so I have picked my 6 books for this month, like you saw. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what these books are about, starting with Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. So I can't tell you what this one is about because it's the second in a series, but I can tell you what the first one is about, which you've probably heard before because this is a pretty popular book series, but in case you haven't, this is about Finlay Donovan, who is an author, and she is out to lunch with her literary agent, and they're talking about fictional murder. But somebody on a table next to them overhears them and thinks that she's a hit woman. And so after her agent leaves, she kind of surreptitiously gives her this note saying, "Hey, I'd like to hire you as a hit woman to kill my ex-husband." So Finlay Donovan, she's like thinking this is crazy, but at the same time, she's like, oh, I could really use that money. So, you know, she gets into these kind of hilarious antics. But the first book does kind of, I mean, it does wrap up, but it kind of has a cliffhanger ending at the same time. Something to do with her ex, which I can't mention. But, you know, so I am eager to get to the second one before I forget everything about the first one so that I can enjoy it more. So I'm excited to finally get to this. And then we have Close Your Eyes and Count to 10 by Lisa Unger. And this one seems very atmospheric and very summery because we're out on this abandoned island and there's a man who's trying to do like a social media stunt where you play like this big, elaborate adult game of hide and seek. But of course, as always happens in these types of books, a storm comes up and they all get trapped on this island with a killer, I'm presuming. It doesn't actually mention a killer, it just says things start to go wrong, but I'm assuming someone ends up getting murdered during this game. Sounds very fun, sounds very atmospheric and summery. And then we have The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding. If you saw last month's TBR video, then you already know what this is about, but in case you missed that video, this is about a woman who is down on her luck and she ends up being homeless and living out of her car. And so she sees this woman drowning in the river and she runs up and saves her life, only to have this woman be irate at her because she was actually trying to commit suicide and did not want to be saved. And so she's like, my husband's very abusive and this was my only way out and you ruined it, you know. And so she walks away like, okay, sorry, crazy lady, you know, thinking she's never going to see her again. But then like the next day, this woman shows up and she's like, you need to help me. You need to help me get out of my abusive relationship. So they kind of get embroiled together in this scheme to get rid of her boyfriend or husband or whoever it is. So yeah, sounds like a good time. And then we have Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies. And again, seems very summery and is about vacations on the beach and stuff. So we have this woman, I don't know which one it is, but this woman is an author of these set of novels that all take place on vacation spots. And so she's doing a book tour in Italy. And her main character in her novels is based on this man that she met like 10 years before. He's this con man and she hasn't been able to stop thinking about him, and so she wrote him into her books. But while she's on this tour in Italy, he ends up having an attempt on his life, and so she gets embroiled in figuring out why somebody would want to kill him, you know, because does it have anything to do with just him, or is it because he's the main character in her book, you know? And so it says there's literary competitors and rabid fans and stalkers and, you know, book clubs and, you know, so it sounds like it's going to have a lot of literary things, which I absolutely love. I love books about authors and about writing and, you know, about books. So sounds like a really good, fun summary time. And then we have Julie Chan is dead. And we have these two girls who are twin sisters, but they're separated at birth, and so they have a drastically different environment that they grew up in. And so this one, she's an influencer and she makes it big on YouTube and she's rich and famous now and everything's going good for her. But our main character, you know, has not had that life experience. You know, she's been having a hard time of it, but she would like to meet her sister and be able to make that connection with her. And so they agree to meet up. But before they can meet up, it turns out that her twin sister is murdered. Or I don't know if she's murdered or if she just dies, but either way, she ends up passing away. But nobody knows that she has passed away, and nobody knows that she was supposed to meet up with her twin sister. And so when people see her, they just assume that she's her sister. And so she decides, wow, this is a great opportunity to have a better life for myself. I can just pretend to be my sister and take her spot. You know, and so she pretends and puts on this persona and starts doing her YouTube thing and everything else and, you know, takes over her life. So I don't know if she's going to try and figure out who murdered her or how she passed away. I don't know if that's part of the book or if it's just her, you know, taking over her life. But I'm sure it will come into play at some point. But I hear very good things about this one. Everybody has been talking about this book and it sounds so good and I cannot wait to read it. Okay, so I chose The Man Made of Smoke for my next read, but I'm actually not going to read this one anymore because I remembered that Riley Sager is coming out with his new novel this month, and I love Riley Sager so much, and I have to read his books as soon as they come out. So I figured it is technically a hardback thriller, so, you know, it would fit for the rest of the books in this TBR video. So I know myself and I know I can't read this many books, so I'm going to get rid of this one and replace it with the new Riley Sager, which is With a Vengeance. And this kind of gives Murder on the Orient Express vibes. So we have this woman who, her family has been wronged and people in her family have had their lives ruined, and she wants vengeance on the people that have done this. And so she coaxes all of these people onto this train ride so that she can get them to confess to what they had done to her family. But in the process, one of the people on the train ends up being murdered. And so she's like, crap, it seems like somebody else is also on a revenge mission, just like me, but they're taking it a step further than she would have. And so now she kind of finds herself in a position of protecting the people that she hates because she doesn't condone murder, you know, and she doesn't want anybody to die, even though she hates them. So now she's trying to track down the killer before anybody else is murdered. But this is going to be very interesting because this is actually a historical fiction. It takes place in the 50s. So that'll be a lot of fun to see Riley Sager do a historical novel like that. So that's the 6 books that I plan to read in the month of June. So if any of these sound good to you, then go ahead and wait for my wrap up and to see what I thought about these books. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post every Friday, and I hope to see you in the next one. See ya!